Tashara Parker Show. The internet's favorite cousin. A different perspective on news, culture, and hot topics. The Tashara Parker Show.
Tashara Parker Show, the internet's favorite cousin, a different perspective on news, culture, and hot topics. The Tashara Parker Show.
It's me being on mute. Like I have not done this time and time again. Good morning. Happy election day. Oh my goodness, y'all. I feel like this has been one of the longest primary seasons ever. Happy Texas primary election day. I know there are some other states that have primaries going on right now, but y'all know we are in the great state of Texas. Okay. And we got a lot of business to take care of. So if you have not done so already, make sure you like, subscribe, all the things. The more you like, the more you comment, the more you share this video, the more folks find out about the work that we're doing here over on the Tashara Parker Show channel. Good morning, Christina. Good morning. Look, one of our, let's just say lawmakers in the building, okay? Good morning to you. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. Again, if you're watching anywhere else other than YouTube, make sure you share this video. Make sure you like, again, and comment so that other folks can see the work that we are doing. Oh no, we will not start this morning with that fear kind of conversation. Absolutely not. So let me speak to our members up in here. Yes, happy election day. Hey, Destiny, good morning to you. Ashley Moran, good morning. Oh, baby, my people on time. Because I told y'all we will not do CP time around here. Okay. Good morning. At least I'm going to try not to. I say that right now until things get really busy. My cousin is in the building. Shout out to Houston, Texas. What is going on? What is up, everybody? I'm telling y'all, y'all watch this like it's TV, local TV. I'm down for it, okay? Make sure you set your alarms every day, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Central. Who is this? Kira Darling saying, good morning. I'm glad I voted early. Looking forward to positive outcomes today. Yes. Tisa or Thais. Look, if I said it wrong, I am so sorry. I'm scared. I want Jasmine to win. Look, I hope you guys have gotten out and cast your ballots, all that good stuff. We know that today, honestly, if the lines are long, I'm excited that the lines are long. I know some people who have not voted yet are probably like, oh, I don't want to stand there and wait. Hey, baby, take you some snacks. Take you some snacks and a water bottle or whatever you need to enjoy yourself. As a matter of fact, take your headphones. If you got Netflix on your phones, take that too. And you can listen to it while you're in line. Now, you can't take your phone on the inside, or you can't pull it out, I should say, while you're inside of the voting booth. So just keep that in mind. I hope you guys have prepared. If you have not, again, voted yet and participated in early voting, I truly, truly hope that you have made a plan. I was talking to someone yesterday, and this was someone who has a felony, and it's important that I mention this. And this person, this, again, y'all know in Texas, they make it real confusing on whether or not you can vote or not. Okay. So this was someone who has a felony, close friend of mine. And this person was, I say close friend, someone I've worked with before, but I know them intimately. Anyway, so this person basically said that they didn't think they could vote because they have a felony. I said, okay, as long as you've completed all of your if you're on supervised release, any of that kind of thing, you have to make sure you've completed that before you can go and cast your ballot. Now, in this person's case, they have a felony and they're on supervised release. So for them on probation, obviously they're going to have to wait until they complete that. So just keep in mind, felonies do not prevent you from going to cast your ballot, especially if you have completed everything else that comes along with it and you are not on supervised release. I always say check in with your probation officer and all those folks, but get that in writing because you don't want nobody to know he say, she say kind of stuff. Okay. Get it in writing that they said it was cool. All right. But yeah, so just keep that in mind. What else? I see you guys in the comments. Scorpio, New York in the building. Okay, we got New York, NYC in here. See, I'm telling y'all, the show stretches from state to state, coast to coast. So thank you, New York in the building. Yes, election day for Texas, North Carolina, and Arkansas. Thank you so much. Yeah, I knew there were other states that are participating today. Carolyn, good morning. Oh, thank you. Thank you. You know, the lighting doing what it needs to do around here. It took a minute to get there, but we are here. Barad is making a projection. Crockett wins by, 12-point landslide. Okay. Jerlene, good morning. Good morning. One of our newest members. Thank you so much for being a member, Jerlene. Appreciate you being here. Good morning to you, Priscilla, another one of our members. Good morning, Aisha. Welcome to the cousin crew. Okay, so in addition to the election, we're going to get there. Okay, we got a lot to talk about. All right, so keep weighing in. Let me know who you're voting for, who you think is going to win tonight, especially in the major Senate race. I want to hear from y'all because last time I asked y'all who y'all were voting for, y'all was like, I ain't telling her my business. But speaking of business, we got, again, a bigger story that is happening in the state of Texas that is impacting thousands and thousands of businesses. So today we've been following a major legal battle unfolding in Texas that could impact thousands of small businesses across the state. 4 minority and women-owned companies, along with a trade association, well, they have filed what is being called a landmark lawsuit challenging actions taken by the acting controller, Kelly Hancock. Now, let me say this real quick. I know comptroller is spelled Comptroller, but it's pronounced controller. Okay, I just wanted to make that known because I've been saying comptroller a long time. It's controller. Look, at the center of this dispute is Texas's 35-year-old historically underutilized business, or the HUB program. Put it in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. Now, this program was created by the legislature. Emphasis on legislature. Okay, they came together and created this. All right. This program was created to give minority and women-owned businesses greater access to compete for state contracts. I want to play a clip from yesterday's press conference, which, by the way, not a lot of people knew that this lawsuit was coming. I talked to Senator Royce West, Texas State Senator Royce West, months ago about whether or not they would move forward with some type of a lawsuit. And one of the things that he continued to reiterate to me, he was like, it's going to take the businesses having to say something. Like, I can't do this by myself. Well, the businesses said, you know what, hold on, because I got something to say in this conversation. So I want to show you, again, a brief clip. I say brief, it's about 1 minute and 30 seconds from yesterday's press conference, so you have an idea of what went down yesterday.
Today, this afternoon, we filed a landmark lawsuit here in Travis County, Texas, against several state officials for violating the law and disenfranchising more than 15,000 minority-owned and women-owned businesses throughout the state of Texas. In the early 1990s, the Texas state legislature passed a bill that was signed into law by the governor to address widespread and documented disparities in state contracting. The Texas Government Code, Chapter 2161, commonly referred to as the HUB program for historically underutilized businesses. The record shows that businesses owned by women and businesses owned by Black, Hispanic, Asian Pacific, Native American, and service-disabled veterans were being systematically excluded from the contracting process. Even though they were qualified to perform the work, they were being denied opportunities to even compete for contracts. That law, which was passed by the Texas legislature, is still on the books. It is still active and it is still necessary. Black, Hispanic, Asian Pacific, Native American, and women-owned businesses continue to be grossly underutilized in the state contracting process. Nevertheless, on December 2nd, Acting Texas State Controller Kelly Hancock issued an emergency regulation to remove all contractors who are people of color and women from the HUB program. Instead, his regulation sought to limit only to service-disabled veteran-owned businesses. And he, in fact, renamed the program the Vet HUB program. A month later, on December 6th, the controller followed through and decertified more than 15,000 HUB-certified businesses owned by people of color and women. Several state agencies followed through and implemented the controller's regulations by removing all of those businesses from their programs. These acts.
Okay, I hope you guys caught on to what was said, and I see some of your comments. You're like, what? Like, this actually happened? Yes, this actually happened. So in December, emergency rules were issued that effectively dismantled the HUB program and replaced it with what you heard one of the lead attorneys say, with a new veteran-focused certification. Now, as a result, again, you just heard one of the attorneys say more than 15,000 previously certified minority and women-owned businesses were decertified in January. Now, allegedly, some of these businesses received text messages updating them on their certification. Some of these businesses received it via email saying that they were being decertified. Can you imagine like how gut-wrenching that was, like to receive something like that as it relates to your business and the livelihood of your business with the program that you have relied on for so long? Now, the lawsuit argues that the controller overstepped his authority, improperly used emergency rulemaking, and violated constitutional protections by rewriting a program that lawmakers had already chosen not to change during the previous legislative session. I also want you to hear from another lead attorney, and I'm only going to, I promise you this one is going to be briefly so that you can hear exactly what they are suing, what they are mentioning in the suit. There we go.
My name is Adam Schuman. I'm a partner in the law firm Petrillo, Klein & Boxer and serve as co-lead counsel in this case. Earlier in my career, I served in government, first as a federal criminal prosecutor and also as special counsel for public integrity in state government. This case is critically important to upholding the fundamental principles regarding how state government is supposed to function and whether the executive branch will be required to respect and to comply with the laws of the land, or instead will be allowed to pick and choose the winners and the losers based on their political views. As you heard, we filed a lawsuit today against several state officials for violating a variety of well-settled legal principles. I'm going to summarize our claims for you so that you understand the basis of our lawsuit. We have filed 16 counts against the defendants. Those counts fall into 3 core categories.
My man said 16 counts, okay?
First, acting controller Hancock exceeded his authority in direct violation of the statute setting up the HUB program, Texas Government Code Chapter 2161. That was duly passed by the state legislature and created and defined the HUB program. As Mr. Hancock should know, since he himself served previously as a member of the legislature for years, the state controller simply lacks any power to unilaterally restructure and dismantle the HUB program by a so-called emergency regulation.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it there. I hope you guys took in as much as possible from that short clip. Now, the financial stakes as it relates to these businesses are massive, you guys, significant. In fiscal year 2024, more than $4 billion in state contracts went to HUB certified businesses. As a reminder, more than 15,000 businesses were removed from this list. Now, for companies, that certification, by the way, wasn't a guarantee of work, but it was a doorway that helped them to compete. And I want you to listen to one of those Texas business owners included in this lawsuit. And when I tell you this sister did not play and did not hold back, let me scroll to it, because she got up there and let them have it. Okay, let me see as this one ends. This is Cortina Williams. She'll introduce herself.
Everyone. My name is Cortina Williams, and I am the proud founder and visionary of Williams Professional Water Restoration Service, LLC, doing business as WPWRS construction services, and disaster restoration. I founded my company in 2014 because I had the desire to help others. For years, we have helped families, businesses, and communities rebuild after experiencing unexpected disasters. We're licensed to build, trusted to restore, and proven to lead. But our journey to success has been difficult. As a Black woman-owned business in a male-dominated industry, construction to be specific, my company has encountered implicit and explicit gender and race-based discrimination. It has often been unfairly excluded from bidding on large construction contracts and overlooked for restoration projects. I've been called the little restoration lady and forced to work twice as hard as white male counterparts at competing companies. Over the last 2 years in Texas, I built my business model around the HUB program. I earned my HUB certification, and I said earned, and met hundreds of potential clients through the HUB sponsored events. Just before the comptroller's illegal actions, I was deep in negotiation of contracts with Parkland Hospital and Texas A&M University. Real work, real opportunities ready to go. The comptroller's actions ended those conversations overnight. Not because my work wasn't good enough, not because I wasn't qualified, because one official decided without any legal authority to eliminate the program that gave me a path to compete.
My goodness. And it goes on and on and on. If you want to link to the full briefing, I can send that to you. I'll share it later. But again, Senator Royce West spoke. I actually shared a clip from him yesterday over on my Instagram page. But I do want to go through some of your comments because several of you, one of our members, Aisha, saying, I did not know that this happened. I'm sure the businesses that are impacted certainly knew about it. But again, the lawsuit was something that kind of just got dropped on all of us. A lot of us did not know that was coming down the pipeline. RT saying neither did. You didn't know that it was happening either. Madam Producer, can we get some a round of applause for our new members? Thank you, Goddess Fly Diva 3956 for becoming a member to the Tashara Parker Show channel. To Denise as well. Another round of applause. We'll see. And thank you all so much. I see your comments saying this is why independent media is so important. I did not see this on the local news. That is why we do the work that we do. So thank you guys so much for trusting me and trusting the Tashara Parker Show channel to bring you all the tea. Okay. As this case moves forward, obviously these businesses are going to have to deal with all of this as it comes, right? And one of the things that I always want to do as it relates to our show is I want to make sure that I'm providing you with resources, right? Resources on what you can do in the meantime as this legal fight really just plays out. So I want to shift the focus to resilience and strategy. Joining me is a Texas business owner who got her start through the HUB program. And while this case moves forward, she's sharing her story in hopes that it will help other entrepreneurs understand how to secure corporate contracts beyond those government opportunities, because no matter what happens in court, business owners still need a path forward. Joining me is Chanel Christoph Davis. She is the founder and CEO of Davis and Harmon. Chanel built her firm in part through state contracting work and has firsthand experience navigating this space. So I want to go ahead and bring Chanel into the conversation. Chanel, thank you so much for being here. You're on mute. Nope, we still can't hear you. So I'm going to kick you out, Chanel, and you can try to rejoin. Because it may be something with your mic settings. No. Mm-mm. Okay, so I'm gonna kick you out, Chanel, and we'll try to get Chanel back into the conversation. But what I love about what Chanel's doing, she actually just got featured in Forbes regarding her business and the work that she's doing. But one of the things that she focuses on is trying to make that transition for businesses, understanding like, yes, you can utilize this hub program to, of course, kind of kickstart your business and obviously continue your business, but also utilizing these other spaces as it relates to, again, corporate contracts, etc. She was just featured in Forbes magazine. And I actually can share that article. Hold on, let me pull it up here. Chanel, I see you back in the room. Let's see if we got some audio on your side. Yes, there we go. Okay. All right. So Chanel, we want to jump in. We don't want to waste time. When you look at this lawsuit challenging changes to the hub program, how do you understand what is at stake for minority and women-owned businesses across Texas?
The stakes are extremely high. First of all, if you watch the full press conference, you notice that the testimony was that we received no notice. This was like an overnight unitary change that, no of the Texas businesses received a procedure or a document or any type of information that this was even coming down a pipeline. So as you can imagine, you're running your business, you're paying payroll, you're funding 401, and your contracts are canceled without any explanation. It's devastating. It could completely, stop your business in its tracks.
Yeah. You built early capability through government contracts. You talked a little bit about that in the Forbes article I'm going to show here shortly. How did that access shape your company's foundation, and what did it make possible in really those early years as you were building your business?
For Black and brown people specifically, and for my story, government contractors typically are very commonly the entry point for entrepreneurship. It's where you basically pivot from, working for a corporation or outside of your company to actually cutting your teeth in the world of entrepreneurship. So for my story, I can say that, the founders of Davis and Harmon, we launched our business through government contracting through, coincidentally, the Texas State Comptroller's Office. That was our first contract that launched our business. And we worked in government contracting with the Comptroller's Office and with the City of New Orleans, doing sales and use tax audits on behalf of government entities. We did that diligently for 8 years, built our capabilities, built our reputation, and pivoted and basically decided not to do government contracting anymore and focus solely on B2B, selling our services directly to corporations.
Yeah. As your business evolved, what financial realities did you encounter when relying on the public sector contracts, and how did that influence your long-term growth strategy? Well,
from the very beginning, it was understood that when we joined the contract audit program as 1099 contract auditors for the state of Texas, it was a political decision. A law had to be passed to even create the program, to hire civilians to come in and work for the Texas State Comptroller's Office. So anytime a law is written to create the program that hires you, then you know that a change in administration or even political whims or preferences could end the contract, right? So that we went into this knowing that that was always a possibility, that we could have a change in comptroller, we could have a change in administration at the comptroller's office, and that would end our contract. So from the very beginning, we built our business to be resilient and to pivot in the case that would happen. So you have 4 things I would have to say for anyone who's looking to start a business and enter the marketplace as an entrepreneur through government contracting. Number 1, political interference is always going to be a risk. Sequestration, government shutdowns, change in political officers, that could end your business. Number 2, payment terms are typically not very favorable. The frequency in which you're going to get paid, you may not get paid for 8 or 9 months after you finish the work. Number 3,
I didn't realize that.
You do the work, you turn the work in, and then you wait for months to get paid. So that means you have to fund your business through loans, get working capital to just survive and wait till you get paid. So that could be 8 or 9 months. It could be a year. and your profit margins are often low. Government contracts are not going to pay you market rates. So your market rate in a corporate environment may be, let's say, $250 an hour. In a government contracting sector, it may be $40 an hour, right? Because they're thinking that volume purchasing will make up for the difference, and it typically does not. And
I'm seeing some of the comments. People are like, that face like, what? Can't believe some of this. Okay, and what are the last two?
Number 4, they can actually control who you hire. They can actually dictate, you can't change your staff mid-contract. Even if a person leaves or, is not performing, you want to replace that person, they have to approve that. It's just a lot of barriers to scaling a business. So I knew going in that government contract was going to be my entry point, but I would not be able to utilize government contract to scale and grow my business.
When policy shift or these programs face legal uncertainty, and you kind of just mentioned quite a bit of this, how can businesses and business owners protect themselves and continue positioning their companies for that sustainable growth? Like you say, you utilize the hub program as kind of your entry point for your business. And over time, you built these systems. Is there something that businesses can do right now as we're having this conversation, right now as this is playing out in court? What can they do right now to really try to position themselves to get back on track?
I recommend to all business owners that are in the GovCon sector to be dual-minded, to constantly, keep in mind that they need to build their capabilities, work on their deck, because the way we pitch ourselves to government is completely 100% different from the way we pitch ourselves in a corporate environment. So, work on your pitch deck for a corporate, version of your business. Like, always keep 2 tracks in mind so that you can diversify. Diversification is always going to be the answer to scale and grow any business. And if you're selling your services to the government, 9 times out of 10, that skill or that service or that product is transferable into a private sector corporate environment.
Yeah. I see one comment here, and you can address it if you like. It says, more importantly, you cannot sue for breach when they do not pay you on time. That's written into most contracts. Have you ever experienced that?
They tell you upfront, you're going to wait for your money. You sign the contract that you sign is very explicit. You're going to have to wait for this money. They, you can turn it in on time, at the deadline, but they have to go through their process. When you hear people talk about government, they say government is slow. So that means humans are going to be reviewing your work, reviewing your product, reviewing your invoice, and you have to sit and wait. It's in the contract that you sign.
Wow. If you're a business owner, a small business owner at that, in the state of Texas or really anywhere, let me know how you feel about this. Did you know that this was happening? I see some of your comments, and thank you so much for weighing in. But I would love to, while we have Chanel on here, I have one more question for her. If you have anything that you want to share or want to ask, please drop it into the comments. For entrepreneurs watching this, Chanel, this morning, who may feel anxious about the future of programs like Hub, what alternative pathways into corporate or private contracting should they begin exploring?
For us, I can speak on my story.
Sure.
When we showed up to do work on behalf of the comptroller or the city of New Orleans, we were auditing companies that you guys know and love. Any big brand that you can think of. We were in their corporate offices, but we were serving as government agents. But we stepped out in excellence. We, made sure that we provided an exemplary experience, even though we were representing the government. So what that did was it created a kind of reputation about my firm. People started to reach out to us and say, we know you're government contracting, but could you help my client? Like, is that be a conflict of interest if you come in and do this work? And so we started to just build a reputation because we often showed up in a capacity that they weren't expecting. We showed up to consult with them and to explain why they had an assessment from the state and try to help them to fix the issue. So we just kind of built this reputation in Texas to be a resource. And we took those early cues from the marketplace. We listened to the market that told us, okay, there's an opportunity here. People really need help on the other side of the table. We took those early cues from the market to pivot our business and flip it. And now we service Fortune 500 companies all over the globe. entities hire my firm to come in and represent them against the state. So now we're on the other side of the table.
Not you on the other side of the business.
On the other side of the table. But that took years of practice, excellence, resilience, and showing up in a way that was beyond reproach.
Yeah. Chanel, anything else you want to add? We're going to move on to our next story. And I do see a couple of comments, and one of them, they must make sure you pay more attention to all of the disclaimers and clauses written into contracts, plus ask for copies of the previously awarded contracts and negotiate from there. I think that's good feedback overall. And this person here saying this is infuriating. Who was the person, entity that did this change? And again, I think we've mentioned that a couple of times. This is through the Texas Controller's Office. So Chanel, anything else you want to add for folks?
I would say definitely, consult your legal counsel when don't just sign things, know what you're getting into. And, diversity and basically having, dual-minded when you're in a business scenario is always going to be the way to win. So that when the winds blow over here and things are not looking favorable, you can pivot and go in a different direction. So it's all about resiliency and having a long focus and a long vision to survive in this current economy, in any economy.
Okay. Chanel, thank you so much for joining us here on the Tashara Parker Show channel.
No problem.
Okay, you guys. So we've had quite a few conversations, and I know many of you have been weighing in, but you guys know Chanel's story really, it highlights something bigger than one lawsuit. I think it speaks to access, margin, and what it really takes to scale in today's economy. And that brings us to something that voters are carrying into the polling locations today with them. And a lot of folks are concerned about affordability. I'm joined now. I want to bring in Angel Carroll, Democratic political strategist, media analyst as well, to talk all things election day and what's on the minds and hearts of voters, as well as what she's hearing and seeing on the campaign trail. And Angel, I know you and I were talking right before this started. I was telling you we want to talk affordability, but we know today is election day. So I want to start with that. As voters head to the polls, how is the rising cost of living shaping the mood of this primary and influencing what Democratic voters are demanding from their candidates?
Yeah, affordability is front and center for voters right now. We can't deny that, whether it's healthcare, groceries, gas, taxes. People are doing the math every single day. And when families feel that squeeze at their pocketbooks, right, it's less about ideologies and what party you're a part of. It's about economics. Who is going to help me feel some sort of relief so that I'm not living paycheck to paycheck and I can pay my bills? Okay, and that is really important in this day and age. I want to switch gears now overall about Democratic strategy. When you look at what's on tap for Democrats today, especially the marquee race, the U.S. Senate race that everybody's watching and talking about, how does this primary reflect where the party is ideologically, but also strategically? Yeah, I think those, they're one and two things, right? The same. So ideologically, you have a campaign that really wants to reach across the aisle and bring over moderates and Republicans, right, who are feeling disconnected with where the Texas GOP and the national GOP is. Then we have another race that is saying, hey, we don't need to appeal to the other side, right? We need to get out the base that continuously sits out election after election because they feel as though the Democratic Party and candidates are ignoring them. And so those are two very different theories of change and voter mobilization. And so it's going to be, I think it's a great case study. Yeah, and I think a lot of people are going to be paying attention to this race. And speaking of it, I know you're going to be working like crazy this evening. Okay, so we may or may not hear from Angel. We'll see on our show later this evening because Angel is booked and busy, and we love that for her. So I want to ask you this. As the results begin to come in tonight, what will you be watching for that could signal how well Democrats are positioned heading into November? Yeah, so one, I'm going to be looking at early voting. Early vote is where Democrats historically and traditionally come out the strongest. Republicans are more known to come out on election day, and that's a whole different thing with the polling locations. So I'm going to be looking at the early voting numbers, how many people have come out. I'm going to be looking at the percentage that's come in for particularly Houston and Dallas because those are where the bulk of our voters are at. And so the turnout's going to be huge. Also going to be looking on the other side to see who is up in the early voting for the Republican primary as well, because that is going to be a strong tell looking forward into the general as well, and how strong will be. And then post-election, I'm going to get ahead of myself there. I'm going to be looking at turnout, the demos, right? Who showed up and showed out, because I truly believe, depending on who the nominee is, those folks may or may not come back. And so the party.
How do you handle that though, Angel? Because you have both candidates saying that they're going to support each other. They've said that in the past many times. I've interviewed both. You've talked, you know what I mean? Like, we've talked to them, and they both have said they're going to support each other no matter what happens after this. How do you handle that part of it? Again, from a strategy standpoint, to get one side to support the other, the constituents, right? The voters.
Yeah, I mean, I truly believe that Representative Talarico and Congresswoman Crockett are going to support each other. I don't doubt that. I also believe that they will likely come out with a statement, right, saying, congratulations, I encourage everyone to support so we can flip. That's going to happen. It's the supporters, right? But I think the problem is going to lie. I hate to even say problem. I think myself and other Democratic strategists and folks in this space that have been watching this are saying it's going to be up to the campaign to have those tough conversations. Again, we are in a political climate where not just Black folks, but particularly Black folks, but those a part of the global majority feel as though they have been ignored by the Democratic Party. And so it's not just the nominee, but all the nominees are going to have to figure out messaging. And not just expect folks to come out and vote for them just because there's a D behind their name, because the unfortunate truth is that folks are so used to voting for Republicans in the state of Texas, because oftentimes wherever you are, that's the only options that you have. And so we're going to have to continue to have those conversations. I think that some of the candidates are going to have to rethink some of their policies, how they address and are going to approach healthcare, right? Medicare for all is huge for folks. What we're seeing right now is that Palestine and the Israeli conflict right now is going to determine a lot of elections in November and the primary. So we got to figure out, are you going to make a hard stance or not? Because that's going to be a red line for a lot of folks.
And a lot of people are paying attention to that too. I do still feel like in many polls and surveys, I've seen that affordability for Texans still remains at the top of this conversation. But absolutely, what is playing out overseas will certainly have an impact on whether or not, folks choose to show up in November. Okay, Angel, thank you so much. We'll be checking in with you throughout the day to see how your day is kind of playing out and whether or not we can have you back on later on. I know you got a busy evening planned here. Any other feedback, any, encouragement you want to get to folks? I saw some folks in the comments saying they're a little scared today. It is what it is. Any feedback real quick, Angel?
Yeah, look, if you've already voted, text 5 friends and family to say, go vote if you have not. If you got a sister and a brother in them, call their friends and text their friends and tell them to vote. I'm already seeing folks who are doing that, and they're like, oh yeah, thanks for that reminder. Drink y'all's water, stay offline, guys. This is where they're going to be throwing everything at the wall. So protect your peace. I also wouldn't be surprised if we don't see results for this election till about midnight or early in the morning. I don't think that means that anything nefarious is going on. It's just all the numbers are coming in. El Paso's at another time zone. We have a lot of Dallas, Williamson County. Their ballots are by paper. I'm already hearing that El Paso, the machines are down. So make sure that y'all are reminding folks to vote, taking snacks, stay in line till 7. And there are a lot of resources online to find out which polling location, what the lines are like as well. So
and I see some comments. Thank you for that. Saying voting locations are crazy. One of our members for Dallas County near me, Republicans have 3 locations while Dems only have 1. I will have to double check that. Thank you for weighing in to Ashley, one of our members, I believe in Southern Dallas County. And then a couple other folks saying who they're voting for. Appreciate you guys weighing in. Long as you're getting out there and making your voice heard, that's what we always push our way. So thank you, Angel. We'll be hearing from her hopefully later on. Appreciate you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Okay, so we've talked about what voters are feeling and what's motivating them. But, once they step into that voting booth today, they'll see something else on the ballot, and that is those propositions. Now, I want to be clear. These propositions are non-binding. They send a very clear signal about where each party wants to go next. One of the things that folks often say about propositions in general is that they're written in a way that is unclear, right? I don't feel that way about these propositions, at least the ones that I saw when I went in to vote. So I'm going to bring in some other folks who are going to help us understand them all. So I want to bring in, Nick Hawkins with the DFW Urban League and Young Professionals, and also Val Rayford, co-founder and executive director of Radical Registrars. Thank you so much. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us. Good morning.
Good morning. Good
It is
morning.
a great day.
It is a great day. Off the top of the show, Nick, I was saying happy election day. Sorry, I don't mean to scream, but I'm excited about election day. I'm excited if it's going to be a long line. I am not mad at it. Val, how are you feeling this morning?
Good morning, y'all. Thank you so much for having me again. And yes, I do love a good election day. I'm very excited. I know in San Antonio, we have 1 million people of the 1.2 who have yet to vote. And so I'm hoping to at least see half of them out here. You know what I mean? So I'm really excited, manifesting big things.
Yeah. Okay, so Val, I do want to start with you. For voters who are seeing these propositions, that's what this conversation is about, right? Voters who are seeing these propositions and may not fully understand what they mean, how should they approach them thoughtfully as they cast their ballots?
Yeah, so the propositions are not in the voter guides that, I've been suggesting for people to use. But what they do is pretty much, I guess, makes that party's kind of playbook with their priorities and or how they're going to view these things that are happening. And while I already voted, and I believe I voted yes to all of the propositions on the Democratic side, because that's the ballot I voted on. On the other side, right, the party that's in power and has been in power, this is what I really want to remind folks, is that Ann Richards got out of office in 1995. So for well over 30 years, it has been the Republican Party in power, right? And so all their ads talking about they're going to fix this, they're going to fix Texas, you did this. And so their playbook, is the same, which I feel like I've been reading Holocaust books to my son to try to prepare him for conversations about what is happening today in America. It's kind of there, testing it out with the queer community, always attacking the trans folks. And I feel like seeing how much they can get away with on their side. We're on the Democratic side. I feel like it's just kind of common sense stuff. You know what I mean? Yes, public schools should be funded with public funds. I want my tax dollars to go to feeding children, schools and books, and housing for folks, and definitely not, wars in other countries unnecessarily. Go ahead, Tashara.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. You gave the people what we need to hear. Okay. Cause some people, again, they're going to go into the ballot box. They're going to see, all the different races. And then when they get to the very end, some of them, because there hasn't been a lot of focus on the propositions, right? So they're going to be looking at this. Okay, well, what is this? And so that's why I thought it was important for us to go through some of them and really give an overview of why these are important. Nick, when you examine the Republican propositions, particularly around property taxes, immigration, school curriculum, legislative leadership, what broader governing philosophy, in your opinion, do those reflect?
Oh, you messed up by asking me one of the best questions I've ever heard. Oh my gosh. I get to answer that? Oh my gosh. So what we are witnessing in real time on the Republican primary proposition ballot is retribution codified, punitive judgment way with a very heavy stick. And what I mean by that is in the 89th Texas legislature, we saw a mass clamoring of we need property tax relief. We need property tax relief. Can I take you back to our November or October live stream show where we went over the 17 constitutional amendments where property taxes were just as, if not even more prevalent as they are with this ballot of proposition. So The Democrats have 13 propositions. The Republicans are offering 10. And if you look at the trend, as you mentioned, Tashara, you're seeing banning of certain things that you can't find anywhere in the state. You're seeing new rules be codified through very tricky language, as Dick Gregory likes to use. And one thing that I even saw in the chat from Dorothy said that the language is confusing average voters. And that's something that we need to be cognizant of, but is done by design of the people who are framing these questions. So there are a few propositions that stand out to me specifically. One being with how classrooms are administered. There's a proposition on the Republican ballot to say that life begins at fertilization. That is something that they're trying to attempt to go even further to distort women's health access and equity. There is also a proposition to ban Sharia law. This is largely coming from the news that happened last year around Epic Development, the East Plano Islamic Center, and there being a new wave of McCarthyism and saying, oh, well, they're going to institute Sharia law in Texas. Well, I have yet to see any law instituted that has not been directly attached to the Constitution. And last time I checked, Sharia law is not in either the US Constitution or the Texas Constitution. But there's a tapestry that in my closing, I want to lean into. These propositions on this ballot aren't just empty rhetoric. If you pay attention to both sides of this primary, you will see that the quote unquote Islamification of Texas is a very, very big issue on the Republican side of the primary. Some candidates who are 7th and 8th generation Texans are being called closeted Islamist in a derogatory fashion to stoke the embers of the same sentiments that we're seeing as justifications of war crimes being perpetrated in the Middle East. So that is why these proposition ballots are so important for us to be able to parse through that tricky language, get to the meat and the potatoes of the issue, and vote our conscience, our moral character.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nick. Val, even though these measures are described as opinion polls or surveys, we've kind of talked about it a little bit already. How do their outcomes influence legislative agendas and campaign strategies as it must moving forward?
I'm so glad you asked me that, Tashara, because because these propositions allow them to focus on this, right? So voters can't technically say, well, like, where are these issues coming from, right? Like because they saw it on the ballot in these propositions, but it allows these opinionated things to take over, like, what's really going on. I did my homework, and so let me tell you where Texas ranks, okay? Like the real issues going on in Texas: 48th in healthcare, 50th in overall healthcare systems performance, 49th in women's health, 44th with 8th grade reading level, 48th in overall public school health. Where we rank high, we are a top 10 for teen pregnancy in the US. We are the 8th state with the top teen pregnancy, and then number 1 in mass shootings. And then guns are also the number 1 killer of kids, right? So instead of our lawmakers focus on that, what is actually affecting and killing and harming folks, these propositions allow them to focus on trans folks, to focus on, continuing to deteriorate our education system by trying to teach foolishness instead of teaching the truth and what has actually happened and things that are factual and real life and actually matter to folks. You want to sit here and put your Christian nationalist beliefs in every single public school. So that's what these propositions allow them to do, is to focus on that foolishness, which is attacking communities of color, attacking, trans folks, the queer community, and not attacking and going after the real issues that is affecting everyday Texans.
Nick, thank you, Val. When you compare both sets of propositions side by side, what contrasts stand out most clearly about how each party defines the future of the state of Texas?
Wow. Oh my God, you are on a roll. This is my favorite show. So I want to take a pit stop where I started at. Because I think that really helps to level set what the ballot propositions are on the Republican primary ballot. Looking at those highly punitive, highly restrictive ballot propositions, such as banning things that aren't instituted as laws currently,
Correct.
restricting educational integrity and academic freedom. And then also, as it relates to the finances, because I remember you mentioned property taxes, there is a ballot proposition, I believe number 2, where they are looking to force local municipal governments to hold elections every year that they want to raise property taxes. Now, there's already stipulations for elections to be held when property taxes are raised above a certain amount. However, now they're trying to create even more restrictive covenants to where any property tax raised, whether it be a penny or a whole dollar per 100,000 of assessed value, is going to require a November election, which, as you know, costs money. So on the Republican side, we are seeing very punitive, very restrictive ballot propositions tied to what Val said. But I want to kind of combat the notion of Christian nationalism. I will say white nationalism. I do not believe that what these ballot propositions are pointed out as uphold the Christian faith. I believe that they are carrying very deeply negative racial undertones, as evidenced in the chat. They can't use certain language, such as talking about immigration for immigration's sake. There must be a scapegoat to justify the type of punitive aims that they have as it relates to their policy. And then when you go to the Democratic primary propositions, you'll see things like equitable
Nick,
access to healthcare.
Nick, I hate to jump in, but I want to address this before I get too far down the line because so many comments are coming in. Can someone on the panel please explain Republican Proposition 7 regarding water? I have it up on the screen. It says the calls for the state to ban the large-scale export or sale of Texas's groundwater and surface water to any single public or private entity. How do you interpret that, Nick?
As it relates to groundwater being sold to any private or public entity, how I'm looking at that is a direct continuation of the $20 billion investment that we made in revitalizing our infrastructure. If you think of the droughts that we have, one thing that I'm not going to talk too much about my personal beliefs on it, but the issue that was recently elevated by a candidate out in Sand Branch, Texas, we have very dire needs as it relates to access of water for civilians. So I believe that that proposition is that if you think about the largest industry in the state of Texas that drives our economy, it's agriculture, that being a very high water usage industry, I think it is a way to appease those types of constituents and keep them happy so they could, usher in and slide in some of the more nefarious propositions as well.
Oh, somebody just made a good point here. We shouldn't be selling our water for any of those data centers. Nick, and I know I got in the middle of you switching over to the Dem side. If you want to finish off that thought for me.
Yes, real tight loop I'm going to close is that on the Democratic primary side, you're seeing things like restricting gun access to people that have a documented history of domestic abuse. You're looking at things like fully funding our public schools. If you know, we just passed a record school finance reform bill, but as I mentioned earlier, there are very restrictive covenants that are attached to it. So expanding access to funding for public schools so we can increase educational quality are some of the top priorities that we see on the Democratic primary ballot.
Okay. Any last words from you, Val?
It's election day. Like I said, there's 1 million people in San Antonio who have not voted. I'm sure there's millions of folks all over Texas. So to echo what the last person said, please, reach out to folks, reach out to the group chat, make sure you're reaching out to your network. I even asked the plug the other day. I said, have you voted? Ask everyone in your life. Okay. Ask everyone in your life. This election is just way too important, and everyone's doing it, so don't miss out on this election.
I'll say this: you talking about you asked the plug yesterday. I don't know if you heard my conversation earlier, if you were on yet, but I was talking to a buddy who has a felony, and this buddy was like, "Can I vote with the felony?" I'm like, "Yeah, you can vote with a felony," but then he mentioned that he's on supervised release. And I was like, no, if you're on supervised release, you got to wait until that plays out. But what sucks about this is he went online to search if he was registered, received a voter registration card and all that kind of stuff, received it. Okay. And his registration said active online. I say, yo,
Mhm.
until you talk to that probation officer and make sure that that's clear.
Right.
You do not go in there and mess up, because I always think about the case of Crystal Mason, right?
Right.
And how, you know, the rhetoric just was not clear regarding whether or not she could vote out in Tarrant County. I'm not sure if y'all have heard about that case, but anyway, it was a very similar situation. So I told him, unless it's in writing, ain't no he said, she said, and what the online thing said, because they're gonna say you should have knew better.
Mhm.
So I told him, supervisor release, you got to wait until that all plays out. Val and Nick, thank y'all so much for joining us. Take somebody with y'all to the polls today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Of course. Okay, you guys, very lively conversation. I don't know if Elaine has joined us from the background. Oh, I'm just going to bring you right on in, because Elaine always ready to get things down and talk business. Elaine, where you at? Okay, so I still got Val on here. Hold on. There you go. Hey, Elaine.
Hey, how are you guys doing today?
We are doing well. Okay, so Elaine, you talked about you was gonna hop in, hop out. Where are you right now? You're at your voting location?
I'm at my voting location, which is in Deep Ellum. That's my vote center, precinct 2106. Things are going very smoothly here. We have had a few people who thought that they could vote here, and we had to send them to their correct location, because remember, everybody only has one location that they can vote at, and my location is a Democrat-only location. We have had some Republicans come in because they are used to my vote center being a joint location, and they have complained, and I have explained to them, and please explain this to anyone you know who is a Republican and does not like this, that the reason we are at this place today is because this is what the Republican Party voted for. This is not what the Democratic Party voted for. This is what the Republican Party voted for. And I'm going to say this and let you know that my statements are not partisan, they're facts. That's why we're here today. And so you can reach out if you are a Republican and you don't like that we are voting separate today, reach out to your chair. His name is Alan West, and let him know that you do not want this, because they voted to have this. We did not want this either.
And Alan West has been very vocal about them wanting, or his party, I should say, wanting this to happen. And I want to be very clear. This is fact. Okay. This is facts that we're talking about. It is well documented that this is what and how they wanted these to play out during this primary election season. So what else, Elaine? What else have you guys experienced? So you've had some folks had a little confusion because again, they thought that this was their precinct. This is where they were supposed to go. But they, some people don't realize that the Republican and Democrat areas may be separate in some precincts.
Correct. They may be separate locations. The Republican location in Deep Ellum is about a mile away. So they're not even, I mean, you could walk, it's about a 30-minute walk, but they're not really even within walking distance. So, that is, several locations are like that, totally separate buildings, separate parts of town. So please look it up beforehand. I know we walked through how you can look up yours beforehand with your address to find out where you're supposed to vote. We have already had people tell us that there are locations where there is a 2 or 3 hour wait.
Already this morning?
Already. So please get out there. Go ahead. I'm not going to complain about a long line because I want everybody to vote. So, but just get prepared. Get ready to have a snack, have some water, and possibly have to stand in line.
Yeah, take your little chair, one of the little folding chairs that people take to like the beach or parade or whatever.
Absolutely.
Take that chair and get on out there and stand in line or sit in line or whatever you need to do to make sure you make your vote count. I just think it's really important that we stress that. Like when you tell me 2-3 hours this early, I'm like, it sucks, but I'm excited. I'm excited because that means y'all in line and y'all trying to make it happen. Okay. The good news, once you actually get into the voting booth, I'm not trying to rush anybody, but honestly, it may take you 10-15 minutes, maybe.
Long ballot.
Right?
It's a long
ballot. But you've looked over it and you know what you're doing ahead of time. And honestly, while you're sitting there waiting, if you haven't researched it, hey, sit down and research.
That's actually a great point. That's a great point. We do have several people who, because I'm with the league, so I have a bunch of League of Women Voters guides out at my polling location. So we have several people who have come and get go have a seat. My voting location is a coffee shop, so they'll get the voter guide, have a seat, go through the entire thing, and bring the voter guide inside with them and go vote. While you're waiting, you can go on your phone and write down. You can't bring your phone with you, but you can, while you're waiting, you can go to vote411.org, do your research, fill out your entire guide on a piece of paper, and bring that paper in with you. So.
That's good. Maxie saying, make sure you go to the restroom before you go vote. Very good advice there. Very good advice, because you might tell somebody to hold your place in line. They will be like, I don't remember you. So yes, go ahead, use the restroom, all that good stuff. Take your bottle of water, whatever you need. Someone asked, can we take water bottles to folks in line? Now, we have Loud Women Vote has done that, but we have been far away from the line. So as they were like pulling out, etc., well past, there's like a point,
100 feet.
100 feet away. And we were out past that 100 feet marker, right? And we were able to give out snacks and water and stuff like that as people were going toward the line, but we were nowhere near the actual line when we were out there helping out. So I'm almost positive you cannot be that close to go and, hand out stuff. But Elaine, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right, because you can't do anything. And I'm going to tell you that it's not like written black and white in law, but we don't want to even remotely do something that might be wrong. But it is illegal to do anything that is considered giving somebody something in order for them to vote. And that could be considered, even though that's not what you're doing, we don't do it. We'll just say don't do it.
And it's not explicitly mentioned, but we just don't even want to try it.
We don't even want to come close. So just, stay outside the 100 feet and then just pass out. We have other people who've done that with food carts and stuff like that, like 100 feet away from voting locations, just to give, so people can, have water, have snacks, send their kid to go get them some food while they're waiting in line, whatever you need to do. Yeah. So you can just have fun, make it a fun time.
It is a fun time. It is a fun time. So Elaine, we know you got to get back to doing the civically engaged work. Thank you so much for being a part of this process and the Tashara Parker Show channel. We are sure we will be hearing from you on
Thank you so much for doing this today. And I will see you tonight, Tashara.
Yes. Thanks, Elaine.
Have fun. Bye.
Thank you. Okay, you guys, always a great conversation with Elaine, a wealth of knowledge that she always provides to our Tashara Parker Show audience. Keep in mind, she is working the polls today, and she will be working up until midnight. So I hope she has her snacks and her lunch and all that stuff prepared. And yes, I see some of your comments. Sela saying it. Sela, I hope I'm saying your name right. It's insane that giving water to voters in line can be considered a crime. Right. And this is the state of Texas. Yep. So yeah, we just try to make sure we abide by all of the rules. So thank you so much for everyone tuning in. I got to go back and give a shout out to all of our new members today. Can we get some rounds of applause again? I know I kind of rushed over some of these. Goddess Fly Diva 3956. Thanks for becoming a member of the Tashara Parker Show channel. Denise for becoming a member of the Tashara Parker Show channel. Dorothy Reed. Hello, welcome to the Cousin Crew. We also have Curie Darling. Thank you so much for becoming a member of the Tashara Parker Show channel. They say slow and steady wins the race. And baby, when I tell y'all we are doing what we need to do, we are doing what we need to do. I am just so thankful and so grateful for those of you that continue to support the work. Now, I want to kind of give you a heads up that as we move out of this primary season, we're going to, again, go back and see, okay, is the 10 o'clock working? Do we need to be on every day? Should we do 2 or 3 days a week as opposed to every single day? Minus Friday, of course. So we'll continue to adjust and address that and make moves as we need to do so. And if the cousins come calling saying, yo, we need to see you every day, then we may have to figure it out. But right now, again, after we get out of this primary season, we'll be looking to go back and make some adjustments along that along the lines of what time will be going on and what days will be going on. Mrs. Queen Sunkiss, thank you again for being a member. Artist TC, appreciate your support. Good morning, LaShonda. You'd have missed the show, honey. LaShonda, I don't know if you know, but we start at 10 o'clock now. You were one of our members from the jump. So thank you so much for being a part of the Tashara Parker Show channel. But we've tried to make announcements, which I love when we go on a little bit past 11 because we catch some of the people who are used to seeing us right at 11. So thank you. And I do apologize if that announcement didn't make its way to you, but we're on at 10 a.m. We're going to be on again tonight. Hey, cousins, we're going to be on again tonight at 6:30. Starting at 6:30, we're going to have people out at the different watch parties updating us on what's happening. We're going to be watching the numbers alongside the rest of you. I'm going to have my TV on in the background. We're going to have our popcorn. I'm about to actually go to, what is it, Sprouts? That ain't Sprouts. What's the HEB? What's HEB little cousin name? What is her name? What is HEB little cousin name? Wow. Central Market. Central Market. Okay, so I lived in Chicago many years when I was getting my grad degree. We educated over here. When I was getting my master's degree in Chicago at DePaul University. Whew, boy, that was a lot of money I spent at DePaul. Lord have mercy. Private education is so freaking expensive. I did not know. Anyways, when I was at DePaul and living in Chicago, I got hooked on Garrett's popcorn. I don't know how much weight I gained eating Garrett's popcorn. And fresh out the grease, oh, baby, the popcorn was blessing every single time. Anyways, I said that to say, over at HEB Little Cousin, okay, Central Market, they have Garrett's popcorn in the bag. When I saw that, I said, I know you lying. As a matter of fact, I got the last 2 bags about a week ago when I went grocery shopping. And I'm trying to tell the guy, the cashier checking me out, which, by the way, most of their lines have a cashier. How many places you go where they still got a cashier in the line? Yeah. Most of their lines have a cashier. They do got self-checkout, I believe, but I ain't standing in it. I'm going to talk to the cashier over here because I don't be wanting to check out all them groceries. Anyways, I was trying to tell a guy, I was like, yo, they ran out of popcorn. It's not anymore on the shelf. And he was like, and basically like, what you want me to do? I'm like, do we tell somebody? Do we give them a barcode? I want these popcorn to be here when I come back. That's all I'm saying. I was not thinking about Joe V's. That is the stepsister because they do not. I love Joe V's. Let me be very clear. I've been to Joe V's many times. But every time I go to Joe V's, especially on a Sunday, which is when I usually do my grocery shopping, Joe V's is so packed. The lines are so long. Yes, it is a lot more affordable than Central Market. Central Market is the little cousin. Joe V's is they stepsister. But anyways, now again, I'm going to go to Joe V's when I need to go to Joe V's. But the experience that I have in Central Market, you ain't got no long lines like that. But that just goes to show you we need more grocery stores in the southern sector of Dallas County. So HEB, if somebody happens to see this, come on down to southern Dallas County. HEB, not just giving us Joe V's. We want all of it, okay? The people gonna come and they gonna show up, all right? But yes, I was talking about little cousin, not stepsister, okay? Today was a great show. Okay, I got to get out of here because my producer got stuff to do. I got stuff to do. We got to get ready for tonight at 6:30. Y'all better be tapped in. As a matter of fact, if you go into a party tonight, can you email us and let us know? I would love to have some of the cousin crew on live to talk with me tonight. Okay, media at, can you put up that banner if you don't mind? Madam Producer, media at tasharaparker.com. Send us an email and we would love to include you in tonight's show, especially if you're going to be out and about watching election numbers roll in. Okay. LaShonda says she ain't never heard of Joe V's. Baby, come out south. Hint, hint, hint. You know, come on out south. Okay. We'll show you a good time at Joe V's. Have your walking shoes on though, because you're going to be waiting in line for a minute. That line be so doggone long trying to check out at Joe V's, child. So long. Okay. Where are the watch parties? They're everywhere. As a matter of fact, if you go on the Dems page, okay, so I'm speaking of Dallas. So if you go on Dallas Democrats or the Dallas Republicans page, or Dallas Young Democrats, Dallas Young Republicans, Tarrant County, there are watch parties everywhere. Lots of the candidates are having watch parties. You just got to go on their pages. So if there's a candidate that you like, go to their page and see where their watch party is going to be tonight. Everybody's having a watch party. When I say everybody is having a watch party. So go and see what they are doing. Okay. What time should we log back in? 6:30. Okay, 6:30. Log back in at 6:30. Okay. I'll talk to y'all later. Oh, hold on. I gotta real quick. Make sure y'all like the page, subscribe, support independent journalism. Okay. All that. Somebody said John Cornyn not having a watch party. Why not? What you mean he ain't having a watch party? You sure about that? Don't just be saying stuff and y'all don't have nothing to back it up. Anyway, like and subscribe to the page. If you would like to become a member, we would love for you to become a member. Even better when you join live so that we can give you a shout out on the Tashara Parker Show channel. Our memberships are very affordable. You probably spend more on a cup of coffee or, one little piece of lunch a day than what our memberships cost. So we would love for you to become a member of the Tashara Parker Show channel. As always, make sure you can subscribe for free. And anytime we're live, get in the comment section, talk to us, let us know you're here, let us know where you're watching from, all that good stuff. It all impacts the algorithm and folks finding out about the work that we do. All right. So talk later. Have a great day. I'll see you tonight at 6:30. Okay. Bye. Hey cousins, thank you so much for watching. Your support is how we keep going. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video. I know you hear me say it all the time, but all of that impacts the algorithm and folks finding out about the Tashara Parker Show. We want to make sure you never miss a show as well. We are live every day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. and sometimes some special episodes. If you support the work that we're doing here, please consider becoming a member of the Tashara Parker Show. You can do all of this by visiting our YouTube page. Thanks so much for supporting the work that we're doing here. We could not do any of this without all of you. Thank you.